you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group, and it's time to stop doing what you hate. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. Doing okay. Still a little bit jet lagged from the trip to New York to see my daughter graduate, or for her graduation, college graduation. That was a trip. It was in Syracuse, and so I think we went to her graduation for the department, but we didn't go to the graduation for the whole entire school because it was crazy. It was crazy. Lack of parking. It was just nuts, but we enjoyed it. We took a lot of pictures. We met some of her friends, and just got to meet their parents and some people all the way from Africa, some diplomats, just interesting people. And it was an exciting time to see the kids finally get a chance to graduate and under normal conditions. And so it was a lot of fun just kind of watching her graduate and to celebrate and see her off into the next phase of life. And so some exciting things. And we got the chance to go down to NYC, Manhattan, and visit my son and his fiance. Got to meet her for the first time. So some pretty cool stuff. If you have not gone to New York City, despite all the crazy stuff you hear in the news, it's a pretty interesting place. And honestly, I can't wait to go back. I mean, we had a lot of fun. There's a lot of good things to do. There's a lot of interesting people there, a lot of nice people there. People are a lot nicer there than I thought they'd be. I thought everybody would be walking around with looking all crazy and mean and in a hurry, but it was actually pretty cool. I think the city's on edge a little bit. And I want to talk to you guys about something today, about our current situation. And the title of my show today is going to be From Bad to Worse. From Bad to Worse. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to make sure you don't start to self-sabotage your success in a bad situation. Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. So we want to talk about some things that are making the situation go from bad to worse. We started off this year okay, and then the next thing you know, we had the whole Ukraine thing that hit. And if you've been watching TV and watching the news, every day it just sounds like the world is going to end. And quite frankly, if we look at the technicals in our investment portfolios and we look at the analysis, things have broken down. Seriously, things have broken down. The technicals have broken down. Some of the fundamentals are still intact. Free cash flow, reducing debt, revenues are up, things like that, quarter over quarter revenues. It looks good for some companies from an economic standpoint. But I'll be honest with you, folks, some companies are just straight out hot garbage, and they things that probably shouldn't exist. People have invested money in these things and they're losing a lot of money. Some of these things are down 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% from their highs. And it's just a shame. And again, all investments do carry risk of loss. So go do your own due diligence before you invest money. Past performance is no indicator of future results. So we had Target get hit over the head the other day. We got Walmart. They took a big hit. We had Dollar General. They took a big hit. We had Dollar Tree. They took a big hit. A lot of these big retail chains are just getting whacked, hit in the head. And I read something interesting the other day, and they said it's not so much as the fundamentals and different things going on in the market as much as it is bad leadership in some of these companies. And that's something I want to talk to you folks about, is how do you be a good leader over your financial situation in times like this so you don't make things go from bad to worse, right? It's just crazy. So one of the things I want to look at is the economy as a whole. So as you guys know, the report came out. We had the first quarter of negative GDP in a while. So one more quarter of negative GDP is technically a recession. So we go back and we look at the last recession we had, and that was in 2020. We go back and look at the recession before that, 2008. And so I sent a client a chart this morning because we were having this conversation yesterday, and we finally had a chance to catch up today. And she's like, Harold, yo, these numbers don't look good. And I said, yeah, they don't look good if you need to sell right now. I said, but we're sitting on a lot of money right here. And how much of it do you need today? Like, say tomorrow, say in a year. Like, do you need all of this money like right away? And she said, well, I just don't want to lose it all. And I said, well, I'm not going to let you lose it all. We're losing some. And the reason why we're losing some is, quite frankly, I think some people have lost their minds, number one. Number two, hedge funds are taking big, heavy losses and they're trying to stop the bleeding. Number three, there's a lot of shorting going on, people shorting stock because they're trying to make up their losses. And when you short a stock, you're betting on it to go down, just as if you're buying it long, you're betting on it to go up. There's a lot of shorting going on. And so that's also driving it down. And then the technicals have broken down over the bad news that the algorithms are watching. And when the algorithms see the bad news, they scan for news and then they sell. So selling begets selling begets selling and begets selling. And believe it or not, some people on Wall Street are hoping that you give up. It's called capitulation. They're hoping that you give up, sell your stocks, and just run for the hills. That's when they want to swoop in and start buying up the stock that you just sold. It's called capitulation, right? Go look that up. And interesting enough, the consumers, the retail investors, the average Joe that's dollar cost averaging in his portfolio, we've been here before. We're not going to capitulate. What I've shared with my clients is this. Now is the time to buy. You buy the dips. You buy when things are going down. That's if you're not going to need all this money over the next 3 or 4 years, right? Money that you're going to need. We have to be careful with that. And that's why we have the 3 different portfolios, the short term, the long term, and the intermediate. And so you got to make sure if you are retired and you need the money, we got to make sure we're in those 3 buckets, because the money in the long-term bucket, you're not going to need that. So what should we be doing with the money in the long-term bucket? We should be buying more Tesla, regardless of what people say, right? Their emotional feelings, right? All of that does not make any sense. You should not be trading and buying stocks on your political views. I'm going to be honest with you. You should not be buying stocks or selling stocks based on your political views. If that's the case, you shouldn't be invested in the stock market anyway, because it's too hard to go through there and figure out like all of your little political things. And then like, I don't like the stock because this guy said this, or I don't like the stock because this lady said that. And I don't like this stock. That's not investing, right? That's like, I don't know what it is, but it's not investing. That's not how you win the game, right? You have to look at companies that have great cash, great revenues, great leadership, and you buy that stuff. And when it's down, you rotate some of your other stocks into that, and you just like dollar cost average it on the way down. Some investors, they don't like that. They don't like the pain. I call it like holding your nose and taking the medicine. So, man, I've seen my portfolios take a hit, but guess what? I'm buying more. I'm constantly buying. I bought today. And, the whole thing with Tesla, they want to make up all these stories about why the stock is underperforming and the outlook for the future. The big guru investor, Lady Cathie Wood, just sold a lot of, Tesla because she has her worries and her concerns and stuff like that. But there's still strong buy ratings on Tesla. Like, why would you be doing it? What's the reason for doing so? I don't see any other real competition coming up anytime soon. And so those are just my things. And so when you look at buying stocks, you don't buy because for political reasons, and you don't sell because of political reasons. You buy because you believe in the company. If you lost faith in the company and the product and what it's trying to do, then yeah, by all means sell. But if it's something other than that, you got to check yourself, because this is how you can make the situation go from bad to worse, right? And I'm not going to get into politics a whole lot, but I'm going to tell you folks something straight up. You're going to have to wise up and check how you're voting and check who you're putting in office. Make sure you're electing the right leaders. Make sure these people are qualified to lead your company, to lead your future, to lead your kids. You're really going to have to check that stuff and get more educated on it. And I talk to a lot of people. I do a lot of research. I hear a lot of things. I just do a lot of research. And I find things that I don't hear publicized in papers. I don't hear it in the news. I don't hear it. Stuff is like hidden. It's like it doesn't exist. But there's things that are happening that are just kind of under the surface that you really got to pay attention to. And I don't want to get into too much of that. But these things are really, bogging down our economy. Like I'll just tell you one straight up, 26 weeks of unemployment. I understand it can be justified, but then it can be abused. So 11 million jobs, I don't know, 30% of them require a college degree, 70% don't. But yet you got people constantly on unemployment. So there's a breakdown in values, and that's the next thing I'm going to get into. There's been a breakdown in values. if you don't want to make your situation go from bad to worse, you got to check your values. You got to check what's important to you. You got to check your motive in terms of why you wake up and do what you do every single day. Because if your values are off, and people argue with me about this sometimes, I know my daughter, she argued with me about these things. And I told her, I said, look, it's very important to understand there is a right way to do things and there is a wrong way to do things. That's my truth. My perception is my truth. Well, you can say gravity don't exist. I don't believe in it. It's although it's been tested and proven. Jump off a building, guess what's going to happen? Gravity is going to take control unless you have on a jetpack. So you got to check your values and make sure that you're doing the right things at the right time for the right reason. And a lot of times it's not always about us, it's about other people. So kindness goes a long way. And I talked about that in my podcast or two a while back, Special K, right? Kindness, that's a value. It's a virtue. So check your values to make sure that you are doing the right things for the right reasons, because if not, you can make your situation, again, go from bad to worse. Another point I want to get into, and this is a big one. This is a real big one. And I'm constantly having to check myself on this one all the time. It's called self-control. Self-control. A lot of people make their situation go from bad to worse because they can't control themselves. They have no self-control. They lose it. And I think the reason why some people, sometimes they have these moments where they lose self-control is because sometimes it's because they're tired. They've kind of been worn down. They've kind of been beaten up. And then all of a sudden they just snap and they make their situation go from bad to worse. And I want to talk in another show coming up soon, No Pain, No Gain, about one of the things that I've seen is in a bear market or in a recession, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain in the stock market. There's a lot of, uneasiness. There's a lot of worry. And what I find that this normally comes from outside influences, things that you're hearing on the TV, things that you're reading in the newspaper, things that your friends are saying. It's outside influence, right? None of the stuff is true. And I'll go back to looking at the charts again. Capitulation, people just selling, giving up, running for the hills because they want to get rid of the pain. So I was sharing with a client this morning, all right, things hurt a little bit right now. Here's my strategy. This is what I've been doing. I've been rotating out of some stocks when they go up and then buying more stocks that are beaten up, like Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, things like that, right? They're beaten up. They're good companies. They're solid. They're getting beaten up. So I'm rotating out of these companies into them. I said, but the problem is you got people selling them off every single day for reasons that are just not legitimate reasons, right? And so I said, basically, you just got to turn off the outside influence and understand that this is our challenge right now, is to rotate, to buy good holdings on the way down. That's okay. I said, we got enough money to cover 2 or 3 years of retirement right here. So outside of that, we're okay. We don't have to worry about that because we don't need all this money right now. And I said, in 5 years, hopefully we're looking back on this in 5 years and saying, why didn't we buy more? And I said, because it's painful. And I said, you have 2 options right now. I said, you can sell everything to cash if you want. We can do that. Sell it all to cash. I said, but you got to understand inflation is 8%. So you're still going to be losing 8%, right? Right now, you might be losing 10 to 15%, but then you're going to be losing 8%. And then if you sit there and cash too long and you don't catch the rebound, that could be 10 to 15% in 2 days. You know how hard it is to make 10 to 15% legitimately in the market in 2 to 3 days? It's hard, right? Not even in 2 or 3 days, like sometimes 2 or 3 months, you can't get that. But if you're sitting there in cash and you're sitting there waiting on the opportunity to jump back in, how do you know when it's the right time to jump back in, right? Who has the magic bullet or the magic crystal ball that tells you it's time to buy again? Nobody does. How do you know it's time to buy again? And the thing about it is you should probably have never sold in the first place, unless it's money that you need for something like within the next year or so. And you just, you don't want to keep seeing it sliding down and you need the money, then sell what you need and put that on the side and be comfortable with that. But just to run and sell to cash for out of fear, that's not investing at all. And if you do that, you probably shouldn't be invested in the market anyway. You should be in an annuity, or you should have your money sitting in life insurance. This is the argument that I've been dealing with for the last 20 years, right? Every time we go through one of these things, people are like, yeah, I want my money safe and on and on and on. Okay, great. So we start the life insurance policies and then, the premiums are due 20, 30,000 a year. And then, the market recovers and then they're like, yo, stock market is doing really good. Stock market is doing really good. So yeah, but eventually it's going to go back down again. And then you're going to be back in the same boat. Like, oh, I want to get out and put my money somewhere safe. And it's like, you got to make up your mind, right? You really have to make up your mind. So I tell clients, it's not one or the other. It's a matter of both. If you got real estate, great. If you got income for that, great. If you got life insurance, great. You got annuities, great. You got stocks, great. You got other stuff going on a business, great. It's not just one income stream. It's several different things. And so you have to be disciplined and you have to have self-control. And you can't look at what everybody else is doing, because if you do that, you're going to get what everybody else got, right? That's why only 3 or 4% of Americans can retire with enough money that will last them their entire life. Why? Because everybody else is doing crazy stuff, selling at the wrong time, buying at the wrong time, listening to the wrong people, not checking their values, not checking their self-control, outside influences. And if you feed yourself that stuff all the time, guess what? It's going to be crazy. So I tell people, let's look at the charts. What happened in the last recession, the housing crash, what happened then? Let's look at what happened to Apple. Look at what they did. What happened to Microsoft? Look at what they did. When did Tesla come on the scene? Look at what they did. Look in 2020. Look at coronavirus. Look at what happened. See what people did. What should you do this time? Because I tell you, if Jesus don't come back and the world don't go to an end, or world comes to an end, things will get better. It's a matter of time. They always do, right? Things don't stay bad forever because there's too many good people in this country that are working hard and they're fighting for it every single day. There's a lot of people that are still trying to make something happen. And I tell you, you have to remain optimistic, cautiously optimistic, make the right choices, take on the right amount of risk, and things eventually will be okay. So I got to tell you, you got to check yourself before you make your situation go from bad to worse. All right. So thanks for allowing me to share with you folks, and stay tuned for No Pain, No Gain. That's coming up soon. I've been sitting on that for a little bit, and we're going to get into that and talk about how it does hurt to grow. Yeah, it does hurt to become successful. Not too many people can do a scratcher and win $30 million from a lottery. And a lot of times it's a lot of hard work, and we're going to get into No Pain, No Gain, and then and how to deal with that. All right. So until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.